The champagne flute felt cold and fragile in my hand as I watched my sister, Clara, drift across the marble floor of the Beverly Wilshire ballroom. Her custom Galia Lohov gown, a cloud of lace and sparkle, trailed behind her like a fairy tale. 200 people were here to witness her wedding to Mark, a slick real estate developer she'd met only 8 months ago. I couldn't help but see the bitter irony. She was marrying for money while simultaneously trying to take mine. I'm Leo, 33 years old, and I've clawed my way to where I am. While Clara spent her 20s flitting between hobbies and boyfriends, I was pulling all-nighters, first in my dingy apartment coding, then sleeping on the office couch of my fledgling tech startup. 5 years ago, I poured my life savings into that company. It was the biggest risk of my life, but it paid off spectacularly. Last year, after a massive buyout, I bought myself a $10 million penthouse in Beverly Hills, a glass palace overlooking the entire city. And now, my family had decided it was theirs. Leo, darling, you look so handsome. My mother, Eleanor, glided over, flashing the painfully fake smile she reserved for when she wanted something. Her silver hair was styled perfectly, and her Carolina Herrera dress probably cost more than my first car. We need a little family chat. My stomach tightened. Family chats in the Harrison household were never just chats. They were ambushes. Mom, it's Clara's wedding day. Can't this wait? Actually, no. My father, Richard, appeared at her side, his expression as rigid as his tailored tuxedo. At 60, Dad still had an imposing presence, but his eyes held the familiar, deep-seated disappointment that had followed me since I was a boy. We've been discussing your living situation. My living situation? I put my champagne down, sensing I'd need my hands free. What about it? Well, honey, Mom's voice dropped into that sickeningly sweet tone she used for manipulation. You know Clara and Mark are starting their new life together. They're going to need more space than that tiny condo Mark has been renting. I blinked, processing the absurdity. They're not even pregnant yet, Mom. But we will be soon. Clara's voice cut through our small circle as she joined us, her new husband's arm wrapped possessively around her waist. At 29, with her striking blonde hair and sharp blue eyes, she was undeniably beautiful, but the calculated glint in her eyes always made my skin crawl. We're planning to start trying on the honeymoon. Congratulations, I said, my voice cautious. I'm sure you'll find a lovely place to raise your family. Oh, we already have, Clara said, her smile widening into a predatory grin. We want your penthouse. The words hit me like a physical blow. For a second, the buzz of the ballroom faded to a dull roar in my ears. Excuse me. Now, Leo, before you get defensive, Dad interjected, adopting the patronizing tone he used when he thought he was being the voice of reason. Think about this logically. You're a single man. You don't need all that space. A $10 million, 4-bedroom penthouse? For one person? It's absurd. Clara and Mark, on the other hand, are starting a family. They need room for children, for their future. You want me to give up my home? I whispered, unable to believe this was real. The home I nearly killed myself working to afford. Not give up, Mom corrected hastily. Trade. You could take Mark's condo. It's perfectly adequate for one person. A 1-bedroom in the valley. I asked, my voice flat with disbelief. You want me to trade my penthouse, my life's biggest achievement, for a condo in the valley? Leo, don't be so dramatic, Clara scoffed. It's not like you even use all that space. What do you need 4 bedrooms for? You don't even have a girlfriend. The jab was meant to sting, and it did. Clara had always been the golden child. When she dropped out of college to find herself, our parents praised her bravery. Her constant career changes were exploring her options. But when I graduated with honors after years of relentless work, they fretted that I was being antisocial. I need those bedrooms because it's my home, I said, my voice rising. I earned it. I paid for it. And I am not giving it up. Leo Alexander Harrison, Mom's voice turned to ice. That is incredibly selfish. Family comes first. Always. Family. I let out a harsh, bitter laugh. When have any of you ever treated me like family? When I was living on ramen building my company, you called me reckless. When I finally succeeded, you acted like it was a lucky accident. But the second I have something you want, suddenly I'm family again. That's not true, Dad mumbled, but his eyes wouldn't meet mine. Clara stepped forward, her face flushed with anger. You know what your problem is, Leo? You've always been jealous of me. You can't stand that I'm happy, that I'm getting married, and that I'm going to have the perfect life you'll never have. I'm not jealous of you, Clara. I'm just disappointed. Disappointed in me. She laughed, a shrill, ugly sound. I'm the one who will give Mom and Dad grandkids. What have you done besides make money? I've built a life, I said quietly. And now, we're asking for a small piece of it, Dad stated, his voice firm. Your sister needs that home more than you do. It's time you did something for this family. Your father's right. Mom's voice rose, turning heads. Selfish children don't deserve success. Your sister's children need a real home. The accusation was so insane I could only stare. Handed to me? I worked 3 jobs in college to avoid debt. I haven't taken a dime from you since I was 18. They deserve better than some cramped condo. Dad's voice boomed across the ballroom, and now several nearby guests were openly staring. Clara moved closer, her voice a low, venomous hiss. You know what, Leo? I'm done pretending. I've always been the better one. I'm the one Mom and Dad are proud of. And now I'm finally getting what I've always deserved. And what is that, Clara? I asked softly, as the wedding guests began to form a silent, watching circle around us. Everything, she breathed. The penthouse, the respect, the life you've been hoarding. I deserve it. And I am going to get it. Over my dead body. The slap was a blur of motion. Clara's hand cracked against my cheek with a sound so sharp it seemed to silence the entire ballroom. The string quartet faltered. Conversations died mid-sentence. For a single, suspended moment, 200 pairs of eyes were fixed on me. Then, the laughter started. It began with a few snickers from Clara's bridesmaids, but it spread like a virus. Guests who didn't even know me were chuckling, pointing, and whispering. Did you see that? She actually slapped him. About time someone put Leo in his place. My cheek was on fire, but I refused to cry. I would not give them the satisfaction. I just stood there, absorbing the humiliation, the laughter, and the judgment. Sabrina smiled, a look of pure triumph on her face. Maybe now you'll learn to be a better brother. My parents stood behind her, their expressions not of horror, but of smug expectation. They were waiting for me to finally break. And in that moment, I understood. This wasn't just about the penthouse. This was about power. It was about reminding me that no matter how much I achieved, in their eyes, I would always be the lesser son. But they had made one fatal mistake. They had done this in a room full of witnesses, including some of the most influential people in Los Angeles. I calmly reached into my jacket pocket and pulled out my phone. My hands were remarkably steady, fueled by a cold, clear rage. Leo, what are you doing? Mom asked, a note of unease in her voice. I ignored her and started typing. The laughter around us began to die down as people realized I wasn't crying or running away. I was doing something else entirely. Leo, put that phone away, Dad commanded. You're embarrassing yourself. No, I said, my voice quiet but carrying in the sudden hush. I'm not the one who should be embarrassed. Clara lunged for my phone, but I sidestepped her and hit send. What did you do? She hissed. I looked up, meeting her eyes, then my parents, then the sea of curious faces. I just sent a message to a few friends. Their confused expressions were almost comical. A little update, I continued, a grim smile touching my lips, about how my family demanded my $10 million home. How my mother declared selfish children don't deserve success. How my sister slapped me in front of 200 people. And, I added, my voice rising slightly, how you all laughed. The ballroom was now utterly silent. Leo, you will delete that right now, Dad growled, his voice low and dangerous. Too late, I shrugged. You know how these things work. Once it's out there forever. My phone began to buzz, then buzz again, a relentless series of notifications. Messages of shock, of fury on my behalf. The story was already spreading. You vindictive snake. Clara shrieked. No, Clara. I'm just done being your doormat. Mark, the silent groom, finally spoke. Leo, maybe we can work something out. I looked at him with something bordering on pity. You married into the wrong family, Mark. Do you know who Isabel Vance is? The VC from Sequoia Capital? She's right over there. She saw the whole thing. She's already texted me, expressing her disgust. Clara's face went from red to a sickly shade of pale. In the tech and business world, Isabel Vance's opinion could make or break a career. And David Chen from the LA Times. He's been trying to get an interview with me all week about the buyout. He saw it too. He's asking if I want to go on the record about how successful people are often treated by their families. Leo, stop, Mom pleaded. You're ruining Clara's wedding. Clara ruined her own wedding when she assaulted me. My phone rang. I glanced at the screen. Oh, this is interesting. It's the senior editor from TMZ. They want to know if I'm the tech mogul who was assaulted at the Beverly Wilshire. What should I tell them? I held the phone up for them to see. Clara burst into tears. Leo, please. This is my wedding day. I'm not ruining anything, Clara. I'm just refusing to be your victim anymore. What do you want? Dad asked, defeat finally creeping into his voice. I want you to leave me alone, I said simply. All of you. Stop treating me like an ATM. Stop expecting me to sacrifice my happiness for Clara's convenience. And stop pretending family means anything to you beyond what you can get from me. As I turned to leave, the ballroom was already starting to empty, guests scrambling to distance themselves from the disaster. At the door, I turned back one last time. You know what's funny? My voice echoed in the cavernous, half-empty room. I would have helped you. If you'd asked with respect, if you'd treated me like a son and a brother, I would have helped you find a place. I might have even helped with the down payment. But you didn't ask. You demanded, you insulted, and you attacked. So now, you get nothing. I walked out of the hotel with my head held high, leaving the wreckage of my sister's wedding and my family's reputation behind me. The silence in my car on the drive home was the most peaceful sound I had heard all night. The next morning, the story was everywhere. The video of the slap was viral. The hashtags #weddingassault and #HarrisonFamilyGreed were trending. The fallout was swift and brutal. Mark's real estate firm launched an internal ethics investigation. My parents were quietly suspended from their exclusive country club. And Clara was fired from her marketing job after several of their biggest clients threatened to pull their contracts. A week later, she called me, sobbing. Leo, please, you have to help me. I'm sorry. I never meant for this to happen. You meant to humiliate me, I replied, my voice calm. You meant to force me out of my home. The only thing you didn't mean was for there to be consequences. But we're family, she whispered. Family doesn't assault each other, Clara. 6 months later, Clara and Mark divorced. The pressure had been too much. My parents became social pariahs. My own company, meanwhile, flourished. I became known as the entrepreneur who wouldn't be bullied. I never got my family back, but I realized I'd never really had them in the first place. I had a group of people who saw me as a resource, not a person. And my penthouse? It's still mine. It's filled not with the ghosts of a toxic family, but with the laughter of real friends, the family I chose. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about standing up and finally saying, no, you don't get to treat me like this anymore. And sometimes, that's enough to change everything. An absolutely unbelievable story of standing up for yourself. What do you think? Do you think Leo made the right choice? Have you ever been through something like this? Share your experience below. And if you've ever felt this kind of pain, comment I understand. We'll see you in the next video on TalesFlix.